Before anything else, before you try to fix your thoughts, before you replay the day one more time, just pause here with me for a moment, because what if I told you you don't actually need to solve everything tonight? What if healing doesn't come from overthinking, but from finally letting go? Right now, as you're lying there, maybe your mind feels heavy, full, crowded with thoughts that just won't quiet down. Maybe you've been carrying things all day, things you didn't say, emotions you pushed aside, worries about tomorrow, or even things from long ago that somehow still live inside you. And no matter how tired your body feels, your mind keeps going, like it doesn't know how to stop. But listen closely. You are not meant to carry all of this alone, and you are not meant to carry it forever. Tonight, you don't need to force yourself to be okay. You don't need to have the answers. You don't need to figure your life out. You don't even need to understand everything you're feeling, because something beautiful is about to happen. Without effort, without struggle, your mind, your body, your entire being already knows how to heal. It just needs permission, permission to slow down, permission to soften, permission to finally rest. And that's what this moment is for. Not doing, not fixing, not chasing, just allowing. So if your thoughts are racing right now, that's okay. If your chest feels tight, that's okay. If you feel overwhelmed, emotionally tired, mentally drained, that's okay too. You don't have to push any of it away. Instead, just let everything be exactly as it is, for now. Because healing doesn't begin when everything is perfect. It begins the moment you stop fighting yourself. And right now, you're already taking that step. You're here. You chose this moment. You chose rest. You chose healing. Even if it doesn't feel like it yet. So gently, without forcing anything, begin to notice your breath, not changing it. Just noticing the soft rise and the gentle fall, like waves, slowly, naturally, moving in and out. There's nothing you need to control here. Your breath has been taking care of you all day, all night, your entire life, and right now it's still here, quietly supporting you, just like that. Your body knows how to keep going, even when your mind feels tired, and as you continue to listen, something subtle may begin to shift, not suddenly, not dramatically, but softly, slowly, like tension melting without you even trying. Because tonight, this is not about effort. This is about surrender. Surrendering the weight, surrendering the noise, surrendering the need to hold everything together. You've done enough today. You've thought enough. You've carried enough. Now, it's time to put it all down, even if just for a little while. Imagine, for a moment, that every thought in your mind is like a cloud in the sky. Some are heavy, dark, filled with emotion. Some are lighter, faster, drifting by. And all of them are allowed to move. You don't need to stop them. You don't need to chase them. You don't need to hold on to any of them. Just let them pass one by one at their own pace. And as they move, notice the space between them, that quiet, open space. That's where your mind begins to rest. That's where healing begins. Not in the noise, but in the space between. And that space is already here, inside you. It's always been here. You've just been too busy, too tired, too overwhelmed to notice it. But tonight, we slow down enough to feel it again. And as you continue listening, you might notice your body beginning to soften, your shoulders dropping slightly, your jaw unclenching, your forehead smoothing, tiny shifts, but powerful ones, because your body has been waiting for this moment, waiting for permission to relax, waiting for you to say, it's okay now, you can rest. And even if your mind is still a little busy, your body can begin first. Your body can lead you into calm, into stillness, into sleep. So gently, bring your awareness to your body, starting from the top of your head, slowly moving down, noticing any areas that feel tight, heavy, or tired. And instead of trying to change anything, just imagine breathing into those areas, softly, gently, as if your breath could reach every part of you. And with every slow exhale, imagine releasing just a little bit of that tension, not all at once, just enough, because healing doesn't rush. It unfolds naturally, gradually, in its own time. And tonight, you're giving yourself that time. You're giving yourself that space. You're giving yourself permission to not be perfect, to not be productive, to not be on, just to be. And as simple as that sounds, it's one of the most powerful things you can do. Because in a world that constantly asks you to do more, to be more, to think more, choosing to rest is an act of healing. Choosing to slow down is an act of strength. And choosing to let go, even just a little, is where transformation begins. So if there's anything still sitting on your mind right now, anything unresolved, anything unfinished, gently remind yourself, it can wait, not forever, just for tonight, because tonight is for you, tonight is for your peace, tonight is for your healing, and nothing is more important than that. Not the messages you haven't replied to, not the tasks you haven't completed, not the worries about tomorrow. All of that can wait. But your rest, your healing, your calm, that matters now. So allow yourself to drift a little deeper, a little softer, a little quieter, with every breath, with every word, with every passing moment. And even if you don't notice it yet, something inside you is already beginning to change. Your nervous system is slowing, your mind is softening, your body is letting go, all without force, all without effort, just by being here, just by listening, just by allowing. And if at any moment your thoughts pull you away, that's okay, that's natural. Just gently bring your attention back to the sound of this voice, to the rhythm of your breath, to the feeling of your body resting, and continue from there. No judgment, no frustration, just returning again and again, each time a little easier, each time a little deeper, until eventually there's nothing left to do, nothing left to think, nothing left to hold, only rest, only calm, only quiet. And as you begin to drift further into that space, know this: you are safe. You are supported. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to heal, even in your sleep, especially in your sleep, because your mind, your body, your heart, they don't stop working when you sleep. They restore, they process, they repair, they heal in ways you don't even have to understand. So tonight, you don't need to try to heal yourself. You just need to sleep and let the healing happen naturally, quietly, deeply, in the background while you rest. And that's exactly where you're going now, drifting, softening, letting go, one breath at a time, one moment at a time, until sleep gently takes over and carries you into a place of deep, peaceful, restorative rest, where your mind can finally be still and your healing can truly begin, effortlessly, naturally, softly, before anything else, before you try to settle your thoughts, before you adjust your position, before you even decide how you feel right now. Just notice this: you made it here out of everything today. All the noise, all the distractions, all the moments that pulled you in different directions. You found your way to this quiet space, and that matters more than you realize, because most people keep going, keep scrolling, keep thinking, keep carrying everything forward into the night. But you paused, and in that pause, something powerful begins. So right now, don't try to do anything special. Don't try to relax. Don't try to sleep. Just arrive gently, softly, naturally. Arrive into this moment. Feel the surface beneath you, whether you're lying in bed or resting somewhere comfortable. Notice how your body is being supported. You don't have to hold yourself up right now. You don't have to carry your own weight. It's already being held, and maybe, just maybe, You can let that support take over a little more, just a little, because you've been holding so much today. Even if you don't realize it, holding conversations in your mind, holding emotions in your chest, holding tension in your shoulders, holding thoughts that kept looping again and again. And now, for the first time in a while, you don't have to hold anything, not fully, not perfectly, just enough to begin letting go. So take a moment and notice your breath, not changing it, not controlling it, just noticing the quiet inhale, the soft exhale, like a gentle rhythm that's been with you all day, all night, all your life, and it never asks for anything in return. It just continues, steady, calm, reliable, even when everything else feels uncertain. And as you notice your breath, you might begin to feel something subtle, not dramatic, not overwhelming, just a slight shift, like the beginning of something soft, something quiet, something that doesn't need your effort to grow. And that's the moment you're stepping into now, a moment where you don't need to perform, you don't need to think ahead, you don't need to figure anything out, you just need to be here. Because healing doesn't start when everything is perfect, it starts when you stop running. And right now, you've stopped. Even if just for a little while, and that's enough. So if your mind is still active, if thoughts are still moving quickly, there's a part of you that feels restless, that's okay. You don't need to fight it. You don't need to silence it. Let it be there. Let it exist without resistance. Because the more you try to force your mind to be quiet, the louder it becomes. But when you allow it, when you stop pushing against it, something unexpected happens. It begins to slow on its own, like waves that calm when the wind stops pushing them. And right now, you're removing that pressure. You're giving your mind space to breathe, space to unwind, space to settle. And that space, that's where peace begins. So instead of focusing on stopping your thoughts, just notice them like you're sitting beside a quiet river, watching the water flow. Each thought, like a ripple, moving past you, without needing your attention, without needing your reaction. You don't have to jump into the river, you don't have to follow where it goes. You can simply sit and watch, and as you watch, something inside you begins to separate from the noise, a deeper part of you, a quieter part, that doesn't get caught up in every thought. That part of you is always calm, always steady, always here, and tonight, you're reconnecting with that part, slowly, gently, without forcing anything. And as you continue to arrive into this moment, you may notice your body starting to respond. Maybe your shoulders drop slightly, maybe your hands feel heavier, maybe your face softens, small changes, but meaningful ones, because your body understands something your mind sometimes forgets, how to relax, how to rest, how to let go. It's been waiting for this moment all day, waiting for you to finally say, it's okay now. You don't have to say it out loud. You don't even have to think it clearly. Just the intention is enough. And your body begins to listen, so gently. Bring your awareness to your body, starting at the top of your head, noticing any tightness, any tension, any areas that feel like they're still holding on. And instead of trying to release them, just acknowledge them, just notice, because awareness itself begins the process of release. And as you slowly move your attention down, across your forehead, around your eyes, your jaw, you might notice places that have been holding more than you realized, places that stayed tense, even when you weren't aware. And now, they have a chance to soften, not because you're forcing them, but because you're finally noticing them. And attention brings ease, so continue moving down, your neck, your shoulders, and here you might feel it more clearly. The weight of the day, the subtle strain of carrying things, even emotions you didn't fully process. And again, you don't need to fix it. You don't need to push it away. Just let it be there. And with each gentle exhale, imagine creating just a little more space around it, not removing it completely, just loosening its grip. And as that space grows, even slightly, your body begins to understand. It's safe to let go, not all at once, not everything, just enough, just for now. And as you continue this slow journey through your body, you might notice something else, a sense of heaviness, not uncomfortable, but grounding, like your body is slowly sinking deeper into the surface beneath you, supported, held, safe, and that feeling, that gentle heaviness, is the beginning of true relaxation. So allow it, don't resist it. Let your body become heavier, softer, more at ease, and as your body relaxes, your mind doesn't have to work as hard. It starts to follow, slowly, naturally, without effort. And this is how it happens, not through control, not through force, but through allowing. So if at any moment your thoughts come back stronger, if your mind tries to pull you away again, that's okay. That's part of the process. Just gently return to this moment, to your breath, to your body, to the feeling of being here, again and again, each time a little easier, each time a little softer, and with every return, you go deeper, not because you're trying, but because you're allowing, and as you continue to settle, something deeper begins to open, a quiet awareness, a stillness beneath everything that has always been there, waiting for you to notice, and now you are. So stay here for a moment longer, in this quiet, in this softness, in this gentle arrival, because this is only the beginning. And as you continue to settle deeper into this moment, you may begin to feel your body leading the way into relaxation even more, guiding you softly into the next layer of calm. You don't have to quiet your mind first. You don't have to get it right. You don't have to reach calm before you begin to rest, because something very gentle and very powerful is already happening beneath the surface. Your body is beginning to lead, even if your thoughts are still moving, even if part of your mind is still active, still alert, still holding on. Your body doesn't need to wait for that. It already knows the way, and right now, it's inviting you to follow. So instead of trying to think your way into relaxation, just begin to feel your way into it. Shift your awareness away from your thoughts and gently into your body again, noticing without judgment, without expectation, just sensing what's here. Maybe there's a subtle heaviness now, a soft sinking feeling, like gravity is slowly becoming more noticeable, more comforting, as if the surface beneath you is holding you more deeply. And you don't have to resist that. You don't have to stay alert. You don't have to stay in control. You can begin to let your body take over, because your body doesn't need instructions to relax. It just needs permission, and you're giving it that now. So gently, bring your awareness to your shoulders again. And this time, don't analyze them. Don't try to fix them, just feel. Feel the natural weight they carry, feel how they rest, and notice if there's even the smallest invitation to let them drop, just a little more, not forced, not pushed, just allowed. And as they soften, even slightly, you may feel a ripple of relaxation begin to spread down your arms, into your hands, your fingers loosening, resting naturally. No effort required, and you might not notice it immediately, but your body is responding quietly, effortlessly, just by your awareness. Now slowly, gently, bring that same attention to your chest and notice the rise and fall of your breath again. But this time, feel it from within your body. Subtle expansion, the gentle release, like a slow wave moving through you. And with every exhale, there's a natural softening, a natural letting go, not something you have to create, something that's already happening. And if your breath feels shallow or uneven or slightly tense, that's okay. You don't need to change it. Just let it be exactly as it is, because the moment you stop trying to control your breath, it begins to find its own rhythm. a slower rhythm, a calmer rhythm, one that your body already understands, and as that rhythm deepens, you may notice your heartbeat beginning to slow, not in a dramatic way, but gently, subtly, like your entire system is starting to unwind. And this is the moment where your body begins to take the lead fully, where it says, "You can rest now, I've got this." So allow that trust, even if it feels unfamiliar, even if part of you wants to stay alert, stay aware, stay in control, just soften that part slightly. You don't have to let go completely, just enough to feel the difference, just enough to notice the shift. And as you do, bring your awareness down further into your stomach, your lower back, your hips. These deeper areas often hold more than we realize, not just physical tension, but emotional weight, unspoken feelings, moments that stayed with you longer than you expected. And again, you don't need to understand any of it. You don't need to process it right now. You don't need to release it all. Just feel, just notice. And with each slow exhale, imagine creating space here, soft, open, gentle space, where everything can simply exist without pressure, without resistance. And as that space grows, your body begins to relax in ways that go deeper than the surface. Layers you didn't even know were tense start to loosen, start to soften, start to let go. And you might feel it as a warmth, or a heaviness, or even a sense of drifting, like you're slowly being carried somewhere, without effort, without direction, just naturally moving. And that's your body guiding you, leading you into rest. So trust that movement, trust that feeling, even if your mind doesn't fully understand it, because your body has done this before. Every night, every time you've fallen asleep, it knew the way, and it still does. You haven't lost that ability. You've just been thinking too much, trying too hard, holding too tightly. And now you're loosening that grip bit by bit, breath by breath, moment by moment. So let your legs relax now. Feel their weight, the way they rest naturally. No effort needed to hold them in place. They're simply there, supported, still. And as that stillness spreads, your entire body begins to feel more unified, less scattered, less tense, more whole, more calm. And this calm isn't something you created. It's something you allowed, something your body already knew how to access. And now that it's here, you don't have to do anything to keep it. You don't have to hold on to it. Just stay with it. Stay with the feeling. Stay with the softness. Stay with the quiet. And if your mind begins to wander again, that's okay. Gently guide your attention back, not to your thoughts, but to your body, to the feeling of being held, to the weight, to the breath, to the calm that's growing beneath everything, again and again, returning without judgment, without frustration, just returning. And each time you return, your body takes you deeper, further into relaxation, further into stillness, further away from the noise, and closer to rest. So allow yourself to sink a little more now, a little deeper, a little softer, as if your body is gently melting into the surface beneath you, completely supported, completely safe, completely at ease. And as you continue to follow this feeling, letting your body lead you further into calm, you may begin to notice the weight of the day loosening even more, gently guiding you into the next layer of release. You don't need to carry today into tomorrow. You don't need to keep holding every moment, every conversation, every thought that stayed with you longer than it should have. Because right now, in this quiet space, you're allowed to put it all down, gently, slowly, without force. Just imagine, for a moment, that everything you experience today has a weight, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, little pieces collected throughout the day, a thought here, a feeling there, a moment you replayed, a word you didn't say, or maybe something you wish you hadn't said. All of it adds up, even the small things, especially the small things. And by the time night arrives, you're carrying more than you realize, not because you chose to, but because you didn't have time to let it go. Until now. So right here, right now, you can begin not by forcing yourself to forget, not by trying to solve everything, but by allowing it to loosen naturally, like unclenching a fist you didn't realize was tight. So gently, bring your awareness back to your body again and notice where today might still be living inside you. Maybe it's in your chest, a subtle tightness, a lingering heaviness. Maybe it's in your shoulders, still holding the tension of responsibility, expectation, pressure. Or maybe it's in your mind, thoughts that keep replaying, trying to find closure, trying to find answers. But right now, you don't need closure. You don't need answers. You just need rest. So instead of following those thoughts, just notice them, acknowledge them, and then softly let them drift, because not every thought needs to be completed. Not every moment needs to be resolved tonight. Some things can simply pause, and as you allow that possibility, something begins to shift. The grip loosens, the pressure softens, and your body starts to feel it. So take a slow, gentle breath in, and as you exhale, imagine releasing just a small piece of today. Not everything, just a little. Maybe it's a single thought, a single moment, a single feeling. Let it go with that breath, and then again, another soft inhale, and a slow, easy exhale, releasing another piece. There's no rush, no timeline, just this steady, gentle unwinding, and as you continue, you may begin to feel lighter, not completely free, but lighter than before, and that's enough, because release doesn't happen all at once. It happens in layers, one breath at a time, one moment at a time. So allow yourself to stay here in this process of letting go, and if something feels like it doesn't want to release, that's okay too. You don't need to force it. You don't need to push it away. Just hold it gently in your awareness, without tension, without resistance, and sometimes just being seen is enough for it to soften, because many of the things we carry stay with us because they were never fully acknowledged, never fully felt, always pushed aside. But tonight, you're not pushing anything away. You're allowing, you're noticing, you're creating space, and in that space, things begin to dissolve naturally. So imagine now that all the weight of your day is slowly turning into something lighter, like mist or soft clouds, lifting gently away from your body, drifting upward, no longer needing to stay with you. And you don't have to watch where it goes. You don't have to track it. Just let it rise. Let it fade. Let it disappear into the distance. And as it does, notice how your body responds. Maybe your chest feels a little more open. Maybe your breathing becomes a little deeper. Maybe there's a subtle sense of ease spreading quietly. And that ease is your natural state. It's always there, beneath the tension, beneath the noise, beneath everything you carry. And tonight, you're uncovering it again, layer by layer. So continue, breathing gently, releasing softly, allowing each exhale to carry something away. Even if you don't know exactly what it is, you don't need to name it. You don't need to understand it. Just let it go. And as you do, you may notice your thoughts beginning to slow again, less urgent, less demanding, like they're no longer trying to hold on to everything. And in their place, there's space, quiet, open space, where your mind can finally begin to rest. And in that rest, healing begins, not through effort, but through release. So if there's anything still lingering, anything that feels heavy, just remind yourself gently, it can wait. Not forever, just for now, just for this night, because tonight is not for solving. It's not for figuring things out. It's for letting go. It's for resting. It's for healing. And you're already doing that right here, right now. So allow yourself to sink a little deeper into this feeling of release, this growing lightness, this quiet sense of freedom, as if the day is slowly fading away, becoming distant, becoming softer, becoming less important. And you remain here in the present moment, calm, supported, at ease. And as you continue to let go of everything the day has left behind, you may begin to notice your thoughts becoming lighter, more distant, gently guiding you into the space between thoughts and stillness. There is a space so quiet, so gentle, that most people never notice it, not because it isn't there, but because their thoughts are too loud to let them see it. And yet, you've already touched it, even if just for a moment that tiny gap between one thought ending and another beginning, that soft pause, that stillness, that's where your mind finally begins to rest. And right now, you're drifting closer to it, not by force, not by trying to stop your thoughts, but by allowing them to pass without holding on. So instead of following each thought, instead of getting pulled into every story your mind creates, just begin to notice the rhythm of thinking itself. A thought appears, it stays for a moment, and then it fades, and before the next one arrives, there's a space, a quiet opening, even if it's only for a second, and that second is enough, because that's where stillness lives, not in the absence of thoughts, but in the space between them. So gently shift your attention there, not to the thoughts themselves, but to what exists around them, the silence that holds them, the calm that waits underneath. And as you begin to notice this, something subtle starts to change. Your thoughts don't feel as heavy anymore. They don't feel as important. They don't pull you in the same way because you're no longer inside them. You're observing them, like watching clouds move across the sky, each one appearing, drifting, disappearing, without needing anything from you, without needing your attention. And you don't have to stop the clouds. You don't have to clear the sky. You simply watch. And as you watch, the sky begins to open, wider, clearer, more spacious, and that space is where your mind begins to soften. So if a thought comes in right now, let it come. Don't push it away. Don't hold on to it. Just notice it. And then gently let it pass, returning your attention to the space that follows, that quiet, open space, again and again. Thought, space, and slowly, almost without noticing, the spaces begin to feel longer, the thoughts feel lighter, more distant, less urgent, and your mind begins to rest. Naturally, not because you forced it to be quiet, but because you stopped chasing every thought, you stopped feeding the noise, and in that moment, stillness begins to grow. So allow yourself to float here, between thoughts and stillness, like you're drifting gently on water. Sometimes a thought ripples through, and then it fades, leaving calm behind. And you don't need to control the water. You don't need to hold yourself up. You simply float effortlessly, supported, safe. And as you continue to float in this space, you may notice your body responding again, becoming heavier, softer, more at ease, because when your mind begins to quiet, your body follows even deeper, and this creates a kind of harmony, a gentle balance, where everything begins to slow together, your breath, your heartbeat, your thoughts, all moving in a softer rhythm. And in this rhythm, you don't have to do anything, you don't have to guide it. It's happening on its own. So stay here, in this quiet observation, watching thoughts come and go, resting in the spaces between them, allowing stillness to grow. And if at any moment you get pulled into a thought, if you find yourself following it, that's okay. Just notice, and gently return, not with frustration, not with effort, just a soft return to the space again and again, each time easier, each time softer, each time deeper. And as you continue this gentle practice, you may begin to feel something else emerging, a sense of peace, not loud, not overwhelming, but steady, quiet, comforting, like a soft presence within you, always there, always available. You've just been too busy to feel it before, but now it's becoming clearer, stronger, more familiar, and you don't need to hold on to it. You don't need to keep it. Just allow it to be and let it carry you, because this space, this stillness, this quiet is not something you create. It's something you return to again and again, and tonight you're returning to it more deeply than before. So allow yourself to drift a little further now, a little deeper into this calm, where thoughts feel distant, where stillness feels natural, where everything begins to slow, effortlessly, softly, gently. And as this stillness continues to expand, you may begin to notice your breath becoming even more soothing, guiding you gently into a deeper sense of calm and safety. And now, as everything begins to soften even more, there is something you can always return to, no matter how loud the mind feels, no matter how heavy the day has been, no matter how many thoughts are still passing through. There is one thing that remains steady, always: your breath. Not the breath you control, not the breath you change, but the breath that is already happening on its own right now. Even without effort, even without attention, it is still here, supporting you, sustaining you, carrying you gently from one moment to the next. And you may not have noticed it before, but your breath has been with you through everything today. Every emotion, every thought, every experience, it never left, it never stopped. And now, as you bring a soft awareness to it, something begins to shift, not because you are forcing it, but because you are finally noticing it, so gently, without changing anything. Just become aware of the inhale, the natural rise, the quiet expansion, a soft filling, like a wave gently coming in. And then the exhale, the slow release, the soft letting go, like the wave returning to the ocean, in and out. Nothing more is required. Nothing more is needed. And as you simply observe this rhythm, you might begin to feel something subtle happening inside your body, a response, a softening, because the breath is not just air moving in and out. It is a signal, a message to your nervous system, a quiet reminder that says, you are safe now, you can slow down, you can let go. And even if your mind doesn't fully believe it yet, your body understands, your body always understands. So with each inhale, imagine you are breathing in calm, not just air, but calm itself, softness, gentleness, a quiet sense of safety entering your system. And with each exhale, imagine releasing anything that doesn't need to stay, tension, pressure, the leftover weight of the day. Not all at once, just in small, natural waves. In, calm, out, release, and again, in, peace, out, letting go. There is nothing forced here, nothing rushed, just this simple rhythm that has been happening your entire life, now becoming the center of your awareness. And as you stay with this breath, something beautiful begins to unfold. Your body starts to respond more deeply. Your shoulders may soften a little more. Your chest may feel a little lighter. Your jaw may loosen without you trying. These are not things you are doing. They are things happening on their own, because your system recognizes safety, and safety allows release. So you don't need to guide anything. You don't need to fix anything. Just breathe and allow. And in this allowing, You may notice your thoughts becoming less important again. They are still there, but they don't feel as sharp. They don't pull as strongly. They begin to fade into the background, like distant echoes, while the breath becomes the foreground of your awareness, steady, gentle, present. And this is where something very important begins to happen. Your mind starts to follow your breath, not the other way around. Instead of thoughts leading you, the breath begins to guide you, slower, deeper, quieter. And as you continue to breathe like this, you may begin to feel a sense of safety spreading through you, not as a big dramatic feeling, but as a quiet knowing, a soft internal message that says, you are okay here. You don't need to be on alert. You can rest now. And your body listens, even if your mind hesitates. Your body listens, because your body has been waiting for this moment all day, waiting for permission to stop bracing, waiting for permission to stop holding, waiting for permission to just be. So with every breath, let yourself lean a little more into that safety, not as a thought, but as a feeling, a sensation, a gentle sinking into support, as if something invisible is holding you now, supporting you completely, without condition. And you don't need to understand it. You don't need to analyze it. Just feel it. And if your mind wanders again, that is perfectly okay. There is no failure here. There is no wrong way. Just notice and gently return back to the breath, back to the rhythm, back to safety, again and again, each return becoming softer than the last. And as this continues, you may notice something else emerging, a quiet distance from everything stressful, not avoidance, not escape, but space. Space between you and your thoughts, space between you and your worries, space where you are no longer inside the noise, but observing it from a calm place. And in that space, you are free, free to rest, free to soften, free to simply exist. And now, your breath may begin to feel even slower, even more natural, as if your body is breathing itself into relaxation, without instruction, without effort, just happening. And with every cycle, you go a little deeper, not into sleep yet, but into preparation for sleep, into the doorway of rest, into the beginning of letting go completely. And you might notice the world around you feels less important now, distant, faded, like it no longer demands anything from you, because in this moment, nothing is required, nothing is expected, nothing needs to be done, only breathing, only being, only resting in this soft flow. And that is enough, more than enough. So continue. Breathing in calm, breathing out release, letting your nervous system unwind, letting your body soften, letting your mind slow down, naturally, effortlessly. And as this deep calm continues to grow, you may begin to feel yourself gently drifting toward a quieter, softer space, where even thinking starts to fade into stillness, guiding you into the next gentle layer of relaxation. There is something your mind has been trying to do all day: solve, control, organize, remember, anticipate, protect, even when you were tired, even when you were overwhelmed, even when you just wanted a moment of peace. Your mind kept going because it thought it had to, but right now, in this quiet space, you don't have to fight your mind to make it stop. In fact, trying to force it to be quiet is what keeps it active. So instead of resisting it, instead of pushing it away, you are going to do something very different now, something softer, something gentler. You are going to allow your mind to soften without force, because the mind doesn't relax through pressure, it relaxes through permission. So just for this moment, let it be exactly as it is. If it is busy, let it be busy. If it is quiet, let it be quiet. If it is somewhere in between, that is okay too. You don't need to fix its state. You don't need to improve it. You don't need to change it. Just notice it, and in that noticing, something begins to shift, because the moment you stop resisting the mind It stops needing to resist you, and slowly it begins to settle on its own, not instantly, not dramatically, but gradually, like dust settling in a still room. So instead of grabbing onto every thought, try this gentle approach. Imagine your thoughts are like words written on water. They appear, they move, and they fade. You don't need to hold them. You don't need to follow them. You don't need to finish them. Just watch them pass. And each time a thought appears, you can softly remind yourself, this is just a thought. Nothing more, nothing less. Not a command, not a problem. Just a passing moment in awareness. And as you begin to see thoughts this way, something very subtle starts to happen. The emotional weight behind them begins to reduce. They lose their grip. They stop pulling you in so deeply because you are no longer inside them. You are observing them, and observation creates space. So now there is you, and there are thoughts, and between them, space, a quiet gap, a gentle distance, and in that distance, there is freedom. So let your attention rest there, in that space, not in the thoughts, not in the resistance, but in the openness between them. And you may notice the more you rest in that space, the less urgent your thoughts feel. They begin to slow, they begin to soften, they begin to fade into the background, not because you force them to, but because you stopped feeding them. And your mind, when not fed with resistance or attention, naturally relaxes, like a surface of water becoming still when the wind stops pushing it. And as your mind begins to soften, your body follows, because they are not separate. When one slows down, the other responds. So you might notice your forehead relaxing, your eyes feeling less tense, your jaw unclenching, small signals, but meaningful ones, because your system is learning something new right now, that it is safe to stop holding so tightly, and you don't need to convince it. You don't need to argue with it. You only need to allow it. So if a thought comes in strongly, if it tries to pull your attention, that's okay. You don't need to push it away. Just notice and return gently, softly, without frustration. Again and again. Each return is not a failure. It is a deepening, a soft training of awareness that teaches your mind it doesn't need to chase everything. And over time, even within this moment, you may begin to feel a shift, a widening, a soft expansion behind your thoughts, as if they are no longer the center of your experience, and something quieter is emerging behind them, something steady, something calm, something that doesn't change with every thought. And that is you, not the thinking mind, but the awareness beneath it, the space that notices everything without being disturbed by anything. And as you rest more in that awareness, you may feel a sense of ease spreading through you, not excitement, not intensity, just ease, like a slow exhale you didn't know you were holding. And in that ease, your mind begins to soften even more, not because you are trying to relax it, but because it finally has permission to stop working so hard. So let it slow down, let it drift, let it loosen its grip on everything it has been holding. There is nothing urgent here, nothing that must be solved right now, nothing that cannot wait until tomorrow. And your mind begins to recognize that slowly, quietly, naturally. And as that recognition grows, the thoughts become less structured, less demanding, more like background noise fading into silence. And you are no longer pulled into them. You are simply here, present, observing, resting. And this is where a deeper shift begins, because when the mind is not forced, it naturally returns to balance. When it is not pressured, it naturally softens. When it is not chased, it naturally slows. So you are not doing anything to your mind right now. You are allowing it to do what it already knows how to do, return to stillness. And as you stay with this gentle softening, you may begin to notice the sense of drifting becoming stronger, as if your awareness itself is slowly dissolving into calm, guiding you into even deeper surrender, toward the next quiet layer of rest. There is a place inside you that holds everything you never fully expressed. Every moment you said, "I'm fine," when you weren't. Every feeling you pushed aside because there was no time for it. Every emotion you swallowed just to keep going. And you may not always notice it during the day, but at night, when everything becomes quiet, that place starts to speak, not loudly, not violently, but gently, through heaviness, through restlessness, through thoughts that won't slow down. And now, in this moment, you don't need to keep holding all of that inside. You don't need to keep it contained. You don't need to protect it anymore, because right now you are safe enough to feel and safe enough to release. So instead of pushing anything away, instead of avoiding what is there, just allow yourself to notice it, not to analyze it, not to explain it, just to feel it as it is. Maybe there is sadness somewhere in you. Maybe there is worry. Maybe there is tiredness that goes deeper than physical exhaustion. Or maybe there is something you cannot even name, just a quiet emotional weight, lingering, present, unspoken, and that is okay. You don't need words for it. You don't need clarity, you only need space. And right now, you are creating that space simply by being here. So imagine for a moment that every emotion inside you is like something soft held within your body, not solid, not permanent, but gently held. And instead of tightening around it, instead of resisting it, you begin to loosen your grip, not all at once, just a little, just enough to feel a shift. And as you do, you might notice something surprising. The emotions don't grow stronger when you allow them. They begin to soften, because emotions are not meant to be trapped. They are meant to move like waves, rising, peaking, and then naturally falling. But when we hold them in, they feel stuck, heavy, stagnant. So right now, you are allowing them to move again, not by force, but by permission. So take a slow breath in, and as you exhale, imagine that breath passing through any emotional heaviness in your body, softening it, loosening it, creating space around it. And again, a gentle inhale and a long, easy exhale, letting a little more release happen. Not everything, just a small layer. And as you continue, you may begin to feel something subtle happening, a softening in your chest, a lightness in your stomach, a gentle easing in your mind, not because the emotions disappeared, but because they are no longer being held so tightly. They are beginning to move, and movement brings release. So let them move, let them exist without resistance. If a feeling rises, you don't need to push it down. If a memory surfaces, you don't need to chase it. If a sensation appears, you don't need to interpret it. Just allow it, and notice how allowing creates space, and space creates ease, and ease creates release, and release creates calm. And this calm is not something outside of you. It is something that appears when you stop fighting yourself. So if there is heaviness, let it be heavy. If there is softness, let it be soft. If there is nothing clear at all, that is also perfectly okay, because healing does not require understanding. It only requires permission. And you are giving that permission now. With every breath, with every moment of noticing, you are allowing your emotional world to breathe again. And as you stay with this process, something deeper begins to happen. The emotions that once felt overwhelming begin to feel more distant, less sharp, less consuming, not because they are ignored, but because they are no longer compressed inside you. They are being given space to dissolve, like ice slowly melting into water, naturally, quietly, without force. And as this melting continues, you may notice a sense of relief beginning to rise, Not dramatic relief, but soft relief, like something inside you has finally been allowed to rest. And that relief is your system beginning to reset. So you don't need to hurry it. You don't need to finish it. Just stay with it. Stay with the gentle unfolding. Stay with the soft release. And if your mind tries to label what you are feeling, gently let those labels pass. You don't need a name for healing to happen. You only need presence. And you are present, right here, right now. And as you continue allowing emotions to melt, you may begin to notice a deeper calm emerging beneath everything, a quiet stability that gently carries you toward even deeper surrender into the next unfolding layer of rest. There is a place within you that does not ask anything from you. It does not demand answers. It does not rush you. It does not judge what you feel. It simply holds you exactly as you are, and you have been here before. Even if you didn't notice it at the time, moments of unexpected calm, moments where everything felt quiet for no reason, moments where your body suddenly softened and you didn't know why. That space was always there, and right now you are returning to it, not by effort, not by trying, but by allowing everything else to fall away. So gently, let your awareness shift inward, not outward into thoughts, not outward into the world, but inward, into the deeper sense of being you. And as you move inward, something begins to feel different. The noise of thought starts to feel further away. The emotional weight feels less sharp. The tension in your body begins to soften even more. And underneath all of that, there is something steady, something quiet, something safe. It is not loud. It does not announce itself. It is simply there, like a soft space that has always existed beneath everything you experience, and now you are beginning to feel it. So instead of reaching for anything, instead of trying to change anything, just rest your attention here, in this subtle sense of inner comfort, and notice there is nothing you need to do to earn this space. You do not have to be perfect to enter it. You do not have to fix anything about yourself. You do not have to become anything different. You are already allowed to be here, and that permission alone is enough to begin softening everything inside you. So imagine now that this space within you is like a warm, quiet room, a room that has always been there, a room that never closes, a room that never rejects you. And as you step into it, you feel something very gentle happen. Your inner world slows down, not because it is forced, but because it feels safe enough to slow down. And safety is what your body has been searching for all day. So let that safety spread, not as a thought, but as a feeling, a sensation of ease beginning to grow inside your chest, your stomach, your shoulders, your entire body, and you might notice you are not holding yourself as tightly anymore. There is less resistance, less effort, more softness, more openness, and in this openness, you begin to feel held, not by anything external, but by something within you, a deep inner comfort that does not depend on anything outside. So stay with that feeling. Let it expand slowly, like warmth spreading through a quiet room. And as it expands, you may notice your breath becoming even more gentle, even more natural, not something you are controlling, but something that is simply happening in and out, like waves of calm moving through you. And with each breath, this inner comfort deepens. It becomes more familiar, more steady, more present, and you may start to realize something important. You do not need the world to be perfect to feel at peace. You only need this moment, this breath, this space within you, and that is always available, even in chaos, even in stress, even in uncertainty. This space remains, and now you are resting inside it. So if your mind tries to pull you out again, if thoughts try to take your attention away, You do not need to fight them. You do not need to push them away. Just notice them and gently return. Return to this space. Return to this comfort. Return to this stillness. And each return is not a setback. It is a deepening, a settling, a softening into something more stable inside you. And as you continue to rest here, you may notice something else, a quiet sense of being supported, as if you are not alone in holding yourself anymore, as if something within you is gently holding you now, supporting your rest, supporting your release, supporting your calm. And you do not need to define what that is. You only need to feel it, because feeling is enough. So let your body sink a little deeper. Let your thoughts become a little quieter. Let your awareness rest a little more fully in this inner space. And in this space, there is no pressure, no urgency, no expectation, only comfort, only softness, only presence. And as you remain here, you may begin to feel this comfort deepening even further, guiding you gently into an even quieter, more peaceful state, where everything starts to fade into stillness, leading you softly toward the next layer of calm. There is something happening inside you right now, something you cannot see, but you can feel it. A quiet system deep within your body has been working all day without pause, responding, reacting, protecting, holding you together even when you felt overwhelmed, even when you felt tired, even when you felt like you had nothing left to give. That system is your nervous system, and it has been on alert more often than you realize. But right now, in this moment, it is beginning to receive a different message, a message it doesn't hear often enough, a message of safety, a message of stillness, a message that says, you can slow down now, and your body is listening. Even if your mind is still slightly active, even if thoughts are still passing through, deeper inside you, something is shifting, not suddenly, not dramatically, but gently, like a long-held tension slowly beginning to loosen its grip. So just allow yourself to notice you are safe enough to slow down. You are safe enough to soften. You are safe enough to stop bracing for what comes next, because nothing is required of you in this moment. Nothing needs to be solved right now. Nothing needs your immediate attention. And as your nervous system begins to hear that, it starts to respond. So instead of trying to control this process, instead of trying to make yourself calm, just observe what is already happening. Your breath may already be becoming slightly slower. Your body may already feel a little heavier. Your mind may already feel a little less sharp. These are not things you are doing. They are things your system is allowing because it finally has permission. So imagine now that inside your body there is a rhythm, a natural rhythm, a rhythm of activation and rest, of alertness and calm. And for much of the day, that rhythm has been tilted toward alertness, thinking, doing, reacting. But now that rhythm is beginning to shift, slowly, gently, like a wave that is finally retreating back into the ocean. And you don't need to pull it back, you don't need to guide it, you only need to allow it. So bring your awareness softly to your breath again, and notice how it is already starting to change on its own. The inhale may feel less sharp, the exhale may feel longer, smoother, more continuous, and this lengthening of the exhale is your nervous system beginning to slow, because the body understands something very simple. Longer exhale, EA safety, and safety rest. So as you continue breathing, let the exhale be just a little softer, a little longer, not forced, just allowed. And with each longer exhale, your internal system receives a signal. You are not in danger. You do not need to stay alert. You can relax now, and the body responds. Muscles begin to loosen, especially those you didn't realize were tense. The jaw softens, the forehead smooths, the shoulders begin to drop, even the tiny muscles around your eyes begin to relax. And all of this is happening without effort, because the nervous system does not respond to commands. It responds to signals, and right now, you are sending it a new signal, a calm one, a safe one, a steady one. And as this signal continues, something deeper begins to happen. Your internal pace begins to slow, not just physically, but mentally. Thoughts begin to lose urgency. The need to figure things out begins to quiet. The pressure to stay aware of everything begins to fade. And in its place, there is space. Space to breathe, space to rest, space to simply exist without effort. And you may notice you are not as on edge as you were before, not because something external changed, but because your internal state is shifting, returning, rebalancing, restoring. So stay with this rhythm, this slow unfolding, this gentle easing, and if thoughts arise, let them pass through like distant sounds. No need to engage, no need to follow. Just return to the breath, return to the body, return to the slow rhythm unfolding within you. And as you continue, you may begin to feel a deeper sense of grounding, as if your body is becoming more connected to the surface beneath you, heavier, but in a comforting way, like being gently supported, held, anchored. And that heaviness is not something to resist. It is your nervous system shifting into rest mode. So allow it. Let yourself sink into it, because this is the body remembering how to relax. And as it remembers, you don't have to teach it. You only have to let it happen. So now, let the breath guide you even further. Let the body continue its natural slowing. Let the mind continue its soft fading. And you may notice there is less separation between you and calm now. It is not something you are trying to reach. It is something you are already in. And as this realization settles in, a deeper stillness begins to emerge, not empty, not blank, but peaceful, stable, quietly alive. And your nervous system continues to slow, not all at once, but step by step, breath by breath, moment by moment, until even the need to do anything begins to disappear, and you are simply here, resting, softening, slowing, as everything inside you gently prepares for deeper rest, carrying you naturally toward the next unfolding layer of calm. There comes a moment, so quiet, so subtle, that you may not even realize it is happening. A moment where the mind finally gets tired of holding everything together, not in a dramatic way, but in a soft surrender, a release, a loosening. And that moment can begin right here, because for so long you have been managing things, managing thoughts, managing emotions, managing responsibilities, managing expectations. Even when you were exhausted, something inside you kept trying to stay in control, to stay aware, to stay prepared, to stay ahead of everything. But right now, you don't have to do that anymore. Not for this moment, not for this night, not for this breath, because control is heavy, even when it feels necessary, even when it feels like safety. It still requires effort, and your system, your body, your mind, they are ready for something different now, something softer, something more natural, so gently. Just notice what it feels like to not control anything right now, not your thoughts, not your breathing, not your body, not the outcome of anything. Just notice what happens when you stop trying to manage the experience. And at first, your mind might resist that idea. It might try to step in again, to analyze, to guide, to hold on. That's okay. You don't need to fight it. You don't need to push it away. Just notice it and let it soften on its own, because control does not disappear through force. It dissolves through permission. So instead of tightening around your experience, try something different now. Let it unfold on its own, like a story you are no longer trying to write, but simply watching, and in that watching, something very important begins to happen. You start to realize you are still safe, even without control, even without managing everything, even without holding it all together. You are still here, still breathing, still supported, and that realization is powerful because it begins to rewrite something deep inside you. That rest does not equal danger, that letting go does not equal losing control, that surrender does not mean falling apart. It actually means allowing yourself to come back together, naturally, effortlessly. So now, let your attention gently drop back into your body and notice you are already being supported. You don't have to hold yourself up. You don't have to maintain your posture. You don't have to manage your breath. Everything is already happening on its own, and that is enough, more than enough. So slowly, allow your shoulders to release even more. Let your jaw loosen. Let your hands rest without tension. Let your stomach soften. Let your whole body begin to trust that it does not need to be in charge right now, because nothing is asking that of you. Nothing requires that level of effort in this moment. And as your body begins to accept this, you may notice something surprising, a sense of relief, not loud, not overwhelming, but quiet, like something inside you has finally been allowed to stop working overtime. And that relief is the beginning of surrender. So now, imagine for a moment that all the control you have been holding on to today, all the mental effort, all the emotional managing, all the internal pressure is slowly beginning to loosen, not because you are losing anything, but because you are setting it down, like placing a heavy bag on the ground after carrying it for too long. And as you set it down, you realize you didn't need to carry all of it at once. You never did. And now you don't have to, so let it go, just for now, just for this moment. And notice what remains when you are not holding everything together. There is still breath, there is still awareness, there is still presence, there is still you. And that you does not require control to exist. It simply is. And as you rest in that realization, something deeper begins to shift inside your nervous system. The need to brace begins to fade. The need to prepare begins to soften. The need to predict begins to quiet. And in their place, a natural ease begins to appear, like your whole system is finally exhaling after holding tension for too long. So allow that exhale, let it move through you, slowly, fully, without restriction. And as you continue to let go, you may notice thoughts still appearing, but they no longer feel like commands. They feel more distant, more optional, more like passing weather than instructions you must follow. And you don't need to engage with them. You don't need to fix them. You don't need to organize them. Just let them drift like leaves floating on water, and you remain here, steady, present, uncontrolled, but not unsafe. And that is an important shift, because your system is learning that safety does not come from control. It comes from trust. Trust in the breath, trust in the body, trust in this moment. So continue to soften into that trust, even if it feels unfamiliar, even if part of you hesitates. You don't need full certainty. You only need willingness. And even a small willingness is enough to begin deep relaxation. So let yourself go a little further now, a little deeper, a little softer, as control continues to dissolve, and something quieter takes its place, something calm, something steady, something deeply restful, guiding you gently toward the next unfolding layer of surrender. There is a moment just before sleep fully takes over that most people never notice, a quiet threshold, a soft in-between space where you are no longer fully awake, but not yet completely asleep. And right now, you may already be moving closer to that space, not suddenly, not dramatically, but gently, like a slow sinking into calm. So if you notice your thoughts becoming less sharp, if you notice your awareness feeling a little more distant, if you notice your body feeling heavier, softer, more still, that is not something to resist. That is something to allow, because you are entering a very natural state, a state your body knows well, a state it returns to every night, and you don't need to control it. You only need to let it happen. So instead of trying to stay fully alert, instead of trying to follow every thought, instead of trying to stay in charge of the experience, just allow yourself to drift, not away from anything, but into something deeper, a quieter layer of awareness, where thinking begins to slow and feeling begins to soften, and everything starts to blur gently at the edges, and you may notice your mind is still there, but it feels further away, like a voice in another room, still present, but no longer pulling you in. And that distance is not emptiness, it is transition. You are moving from waking awareness into sleep awareness, and your system knows exactly how to do this. It has done it thousands of times before. You do not need to guide it, you do not need to force it, you only need to allow the drift. So if a thought appears, let it float by. If another appears, let it drift as well. No need to follow, no need to engage. Just let everything pass, like waves moving further and further away from shore. And you remain here, not caught in them, not pulled by them, just resting at the edge of awareness. And as you stay in this edge space, something begins to change in your body. Your breathing may become more automatic. Your muscles may feel even more relaxed. Your sense of trying may begin to fade completely, and in its place, a gentle floatiness begins to appear, like your body is no longer fully anchored, but gently suspended, held by something unseen, supported without effort. And this feeling, this drifting sensation, is the doorway to sleep. So allow it. Let yourself lean into it, not by doing anything, but by stopping the effort to stay fully awake, because sleep does not arrive when you chase it. It arrives when you stop resisting it. So now you may notice your thoughts becoming more fragmented, shorter, softer, less connected. That is completely natural. Your mind is beginning to shift gears from active thinking to passive awareness, from structure to softness, from control to surrender, and you do not need to hold on to clarity anymore. Clarity is not required here, only presence, only drift. So imagine now that your awareness is like a gentle floating surface, and thoughts are like light ripples passing across it. They do not disturb you, they do not pull you in, they simply move across and fade, and you remain steady beneath them, calm, still, present. Small gaps this continues. You may begin to feel moments of blankness appearing, small gaps in thinking, tiny pauses where nothing is happening, and instead of filling those gaps, just notice them, because those gaps are sleep approaching. Those gaps are your mind stepping back. Those gaps are where rest begins to deepen. So let them expand, let them lengthen, let them become more frequent. And as they do, you may notice your awareness becoming softer, less defined, less structured, more like drifting than thinking. And that drifting is exactly where you need to be, not fully asleep yet, but no longer fully awake, in between, balanced, suspended, safe. And as you continue to drift, your body begins to take over even more. You no longer need to guide anything. Your breath is happening on its own. Your heartbeat is steady on its own. Your body is settling on its own. And you are simply witnessing it all from a distance that keeps shrinking softly, slowly, until even the sense of witnessing begins to fade. And there is just experience, just softness, just calm. So if at any moment you feel yourself slipping, that is not something to stop, that is something to trust, because this slipping is not loss of control. It is return to rest, so allow yourself to go with it. Let the edges of awareness blur. Let the mind become quieter. Let the body become heavier, and let yourself drift between waking and sleeping without needing to define which one you are in, because right now you are exactly where you need to be, on the threshold, on the edge, in the space where healing sleep begins to take over naturally, guiding you gently into deeper stillness, where even awareness itself begins to fade into calm. There is a quiet truth your body already knows, even if your mind sometimes forgets it. You do not heal by forcing. You do not heal by rushing. You do not heal by controlling every part of the process. You heal by allowing, and right now, in this very moment, something within you is already doing exactly that. Even if you are not aware of it, even if it feels subtle, even if it feels like nothing is happening, healing is already in motion, because your body never stops working for you, even when you sleep, even when you rest, even when you feel overwhelmed or tired or unsure. Deep inside, there is a quiet intelligence that knows how to restore balance, how to repair, how to release, how to reset. And it does not need instructions from your thoughts. It only needs space. So right now, you are not trying to heal. You are allowing healing. And that is a completely different experience, because trying creates tension, but allowing creates space. And space is where healing naturally unfolds. So instead of looking for results, instead of checking whether you feel different, instead of analyzing your state, just soften into trust. Not trust in something outside you, but trust in the process that is already happening within you. The process that does not require your control. The process that does not depend on your effort. The process that continues even when you are not paying attention. So gently bring your awareness back to your breath, and notice you do not need to guide it. You do not need to adjust it. You do not need to improve it. It is already happening perfectly on its own, in and out, a natural rhythm, a natural flow. And this rhythm is not random, it is intelligent. It is connected to your entire system, to your nervous system, to your emotional state, to your body's ability to rest and restore. So when your breath slows, your system begins to slow. When your breath softens, your system begins to soften. And when your breath becomes gentle, your entire being begins to follow. So trust it, let it happen. And as you continue breathing in this natural way, you may begin to notice something subtle, a sense of easing inside your chest, as if something that was slightly tight is now beginning to loosen, not because you forced it, but because you stopped resisting it. And that is how healing works. It does not come from pushing harder. It comes from allowing more. So if there is anything inside you that still feels heavy, you do not need to fight it. You do not need to understand it. You do not need to fix it. Just let it be present. And in that presence, it begins to soften, because what is seen no longer needs to be held so tightly, and what is allowed no longer needs to resist. So imagine now that your entire body is resting in a quiet space of support, not just physical support, but emotional support, mental support, energetic support, as if life itself is gently holding you right now, not asking anything from you, not expecting anything from you, just allowing you to be. And as you rest in that feeling, you may notice your mind becoming quieter again, not empty, not forced, but quieter naturally, like a room slowly dimming its lights. Thoughts still come, but they no longer demand your attention. They pass more easily, more gently, and you are not pulled into them as much anymore, because something inside you has shifted from control to trust, from effort to allowing, from tension to ease. And this shift is what healing feels like. Not dramatic, not sudden, but deeply subtle, like water slowly returning to calm after waves settle. So stay here a little longer, in this softness, in this trust, in this quiet unfolding. And if part of your mind still wants to do something, just notice that too, and gently remind it, there is nothing to do right now, because everything important is already happening on its own. Your body is healing in ways you do not need to manage. Your mind is settling in ways you do not need to control. Your nervous system is restoring balance in ways you do not need to supervise. All you are required to do is allow. So let yourself sink a little deeper into that allowance, like letting go of the need to hold yourself together, like releasing the pressure to stay alert, like giving yourself permission to fully rest. And as you do, you may begin to feel a quiet reassurance growing inside you, a sense that you are not falling apart. You are coming back together, slowly, naturally, softly. And that process does not need your help, only your permission. So continue breathing, continue softening, continue trusting, and let each moment carry you deeper into this gentle unfolding of healing rest, where everything begins to slow even more, guiding you naturally into the next wave of quiet surrender. There is a point in deep relaxation where you stop feeling like you are trying to rest, and instead, rest begins to happen to you, naturally, quietly, effortlessly. And you may already be approaching that point now, because something has been changing, slowly, step by step. Throughout this entire journey inward, your thoughts have softened, your breath has slowed, your body has begun to let go of what it was holding, and now you are no longer at the surface of relaxation. You are beginning to sink beneath it, not falling, not losing control, but gently descending, like drifting deeper into warm, calm water that fully supports you. And with each passing moment, you are moving further away from the noise of the day, further away from effort, further away from anything that requires you to do something, and closer to pure rest. So just allow this sinking feeling. Do not resist it. Do not question it. Because this sinking is not something wrong. It is something right. It is your natural state returning. So imagine now that your awareness is like a soft body of light, and each breath you take is gently lowering you into deeper layers of calm. In, you soften. Out, you sink. And again, in, you release. Out, you go deeper, not by force, not by effort, but by allowing gravity itself to guide you inward. And as you sink deeper, something very interesting begins to happen. The world around you starts to feel further away, not physically, but mentally. Thoughts that once felt close now feel distant. Sensations that once felt important now feel faint. Even your sense of time begins to soften, as if moments are no longer separated into before and after, but blending into one continuous flow of calm. And in that flow, you are not thinking about sleep anymore. You are moving into it layer by layer, level by level, softening deeper than the surface mind can reach. So if there are still thoughts appearing, let them drift above you like ripples on the surface of a deep ocean. You are not on the surface anymore. You are beneath it, where things are quieter, slower, heavier, in a peaceful way. And here, thoughts no longer define your experience. They simply pass overhead, without pulling you up, without disturbing your depth, and you remain here, still, settled, safe, and sinking. Now bring your attention gently to your body again, and notice how different it feels compared to earlier. There may be a sense of weight now, a grounding heaviness, not discomfort, but support, as if the surface beneath you is no longer something you are lying on, but something you are merging with softly, completely. And as that merging continues, you may notice your muscles relaxing even more than before, areas you didn't even realize were still holding tension. Now finally releasing, shoulders dropping, chest softening, stomach relaxing, even your face becoming smoother, quieter, more still. And all of this is happening without instruction, because deep rest does not require effort. It requires surrender. So let yourself surrender a little more now, not in a dramatic way, but in a gentle letting go, like loosening your grip on something you didn't realize you were still holding. And as your grip loosens, you go deeper. There is a natural pull now, a downward softness, a quiet invitation into deeper rest, and you do not need to resist it. You do not need to hold yourself at the surface. You can allow yourself to go with it, because this depth is not unknown. It is familiar. Your body remembers it. Your nervous system recognizes it. This is where healing becomes stronger, where restoration becomes deeper, where the mind finally stops needing to process everything. So allow yourself to drift further down, past the surface layer of awareness, past the thinking mind, past the need to observe everything, into something quieter, something stiller, something more essential. And as you sink further, you may notice something very subtle beginning to happen. Your awareness becomes less focused, less narrow, more spacious, as if everything is softening at the edges, and in that softness, there is no urgency left, no pressure left, no need to figure anything out, only drifting, only settling, only being, and this is where sleep begins to approach more closely, not as something you chase, but as something you fall into, naturally, gently, like a wave returning to the ocean it came from. So continue sinking, let each breath take you lower, let each moment soften you more, let each thought fade a little further into the background, until even the sense of trying disappears completely, and all that remains is stillness, deep, comforting, quiet stillness. And in that stillness, you are not lost, you are not drifting away, you are returning to rest, returning to balance, returning to yourself. So let yourself go even deeper now, as the layers of awareness continue to soften, guiding you naturally toward an even quieter place where rest becomes effortless and sleep begins to gently take over. There is a silence that is not empty, it is not absence, it is not nothingness, it is something deeper than thought, deeper than feeling, deeper than sound, and you do not have to search for it, because it is already here, right now, beneath everything else. And as you continue to drift deeper into rest, that silence is beginning to become more noticeable, not louder, but clearer, because silence is not something you create, it is something you uncover when everything else becomes softer. And right now, everything inside you is becoming softer. So just allow that process to continue. No effort, no control, no trying, just allowing, because you are no longer at the surface of experience. You are moving into something deeper, something quieter, something that has always been inside you, but is often covered by thoughts, emotions, and noise. And now, that covering is beginning to fall away, slowly, naturally, like dust settling after movement. So instead of focusing on what is leaving, focus on what remains, the silence, the stillness, the space. And you may notice, at first it feels subtle, almost like nothing, but as you stay with it, it begins to expand, not outward, but inward, becoming more present, more noticeable, more real. And in that silence, there is no pressure, no demand, no expectation, only being, only awareness, only calm. So let yourself rest inside it, like sinking into something soft, something supportive, something that has no edges. And as you settle into this silence, you may begin to notice something very important. The mind is no longer leading your experience. Thoughts are still there, but they are fading, becoming distant, less important, less structured, like echoes in a faraway space. And you are no longer following them. You are simply observing their disappearance. Without effort, without resistance, just witnessing them dissolve into quiet. And with every thought that fades, the silence becomes stronger, not louder, but deeper, more stable, more present. And you may begin to feel something shifting inside your body as well, a sense of openness, a sense of expansion, as if the tightness that was once there is slowly dissolving into space, and that space is where silence lives. So allow your body to become part of this silence, not separate from it, not observing it, but merging with it, softly, naturally, effortlessly. And as you do, you may notice something else happening. The sense of you becomes less defined, not lost, not gone, but softer, less fixed, more fluid, like awareness itself is no longer confined to thoughts or body sensations, but spreading into stillness. And in that stillness, there is peace, not emotional excitement, not mental clarity, but a quiet, steady peace that does not depend on anything, a peace that simply is. And as you rest here, you may realize something subtle. You do not need to hold anything anymore, not thoughts, not emotions, not identity, not control. Everything can simply rest, everything can simply be, and you are safe here, completely safe, because silence does not harm you. Silence holds you, silence supports you, silence restores you, so let yourself go deeper into it, as if every breath takes you further inward. Every exhale dissolves another layer of noise. Every moment brings you closer to the center of stillness, and in that center, there is no effort left, no movement left, no need to think or respond or understand, only presence, only calm, only quiet awareness, and even that awareness begins to soften now, becoming less focused, more diffused, like light fading into gentle darkness, not blackness, but peaceful softness, and you are not resisting it, because there is nothing to resist, only something to allow. So allow the silence to surround you completely now, not as something outside you, but as something you are becoming part of, and as you merge with it, you may feel as if everything slows down even more, thoughts no longer form fully, sensations become softer, time itself feels less relevant, and all that remains is this deep, steady quiet, holding you, cradling you, guiding you, and you do not need to do anything to stay here. Silence does not require effort, it only requires letting go. So continue letting go of thoughts, of tension, of awareness that tries to analyze, and simply rest inside this quiet space, because here there is nothing missing, nothing needed, nothing wrong, only stillness, only calm, only silence. And as you remain in this silence, you may begin to feel yourself gently dissolving even further, as the boundary between awareness and rest becomes softer, guiding you naturally toward the final layer of deep surrender. There is a moment in deep rest where something very quiet begins to happen. You stop feeling like you are in your body in the same way. The heaviness that once felt like support now begins to feel like it is fading, not in a strange way, but in a freeing way, as if the weight you are carrying, the tension, the effort, the emotional pressure, is slowly dissolving. And what remains is lightness, so gentle, so subtle, you might not even notice it at first. But something inside you is changing, and right now, you don't need to hold yourself in any particular way. You don't need to feel grounded. You don't need to stay aware of every sensation. Because in this stage of deep relaxation, something beautiful happens on its own. You begin to feel weightless, not physically floating, but mentally and emotionally light, like everything that once felt dense is now becoming softer, more distant, less attached to you. So just allow that process. No effort, no control, no trying, just allowing. Because weightlessness is not something you create. It is something that happens when you stop holding on, and you have already begun that release. So now, let yourself notice what it feels like when nothing is being held tightly anymore, when thoughts are not being grabbed, when emotions are not being resisted, when your body is not being controlled, when even awareness itself is no longer being directed. And in that space, there is freedom, not loud freedom, not dramatic freedom, but quiet freedom, the kind that comes when you realize you don't have to carry anything right now, not your responsibilities, not your thoughts, not your identity, not even your need to understand what is happening. All of that can rest, all of that can soften, all of that can drift away, and you remain light. So imagine now that every layer of tension in your body, every trace of effort, every small grip you didn't know you were still holding is beginning to loosen, like something gently untying itself inside you, not all at once, but gradually, naturally, and with each release you feel lighter, more open, less defined by heaviness, and more connected to this soft floating sensation, as if gravity itself is becoming less noticeable and you are no longer being pulled down by everything you were carrying before. Instead, you are simply here, existing in a softer state, a quieter space, a more peaceful awareness, and in this state you don't need to think about sleep anymore, because you are already moving closer to it, not by effort, but by letting go of everything that keeps you awake in the mind. So continue allowing that release. Let your shoulders feel lighter. Let your chest feel more open. Let your mind feel less dense. Let your awareness become more spacious. And as that spaciousness grows, you may notice something very subtle. You feel less separate from calm. It is not something you are trying to reach anymore. It is something you are already inside. And that realization itself creates even more softness, even more ease, even more letting go. So now, allow your thoughts to become lighter, not forced away, but simply less important, like distant echoes fading into a wide open space, and you are no longer following them. You are not attached to their movement. You are simply observing them disappear, and in their disappearance, lightness increases, because where there are fewer thoughts, there is more space, and where there is more space, there is more freedom. So let that space expand, let it spread through your awareness, let it soften everything it touches, and you may begin to feel something very calming, a sense of drifting, not falling, not losing control, but gently floating, like being carried by something soft and invisible, something safe, something steady, something that does not require effort from you. And that is exactly what this state is, a natural drifting into rest, a natural easing into sleep. So you do not need to guide it, you only need to allow it. And as you continue allowing, even the sense of effort begins to disappear. There is no more trying to relax. There is only relaxation happening on its own. There is no more trying to let go. There is only letting go unfolding naturally. And in that unfolding, you become lighter still, almost as if your awareness is no longer fixed in one place. It is gently spreading, dissolving, softening into calm itself. And you are safe in this softness, completely safe, because nothing here can harm you. Nothing here requires you to respond. Nothing here demands your attention, only peace, only ease, only gentle drifting. So let yourself go further now, beyond the need to stay aware, beyond the need to maintain focus, beyond the need to understand anything, and simply float, weightless, free. And as this freedom deepens, you may begin to feel yourself moving toward an even quieter place, where awareness itself begins to fade into sleep, guiding you naturally into the final layer of deep rest. There is a point where rest stops feeling like something you are entering and starts feeling like something you are becoming. And right now, you may already be crossing that point, not suddenly, not sharply, but in a slow, almost invisible transition, where awareness begins to soften and sleep begins to take over. And you don't need to fight that transition. You don't need to stay fully awake. You don't need to monitor what is happening, because this is not something going wrong. This is something going right. This is your natural rhythm returning. So just allow yourself to notice. You are no longer holding the same level of awareness you had earlier. Thoughts may still appear, but they feel distant now, faint, less connected. like echoes drifting far away, and you are not reaching for them anymore. You are not following them. You are not engaging with them, because something deeper is beginning to pull you inward, a soft, steady pull towards sleep, and you are safe in that pull, completely safe. So there is no need to resist it. In fact, the more you allow it, the easier it becomes, because sleep is not something you force. It is something you surrender into. So imagine now that your awareness is like a gentle light, and that light is slowly dimming, not disappearing suddenly, but gradually softening, like a sunset fading into night. And as it softens, everything inside you becomes quieter, more still, more relaxed, and your body begins to take over fully now. You no longer need to guide your breathing. You no longer need to guide your thoughts. You no longer need to guide anything at all. Everything is happening on its own, perfectly, naturally, effortlessly. And that realization itself allows even deeper release, because the mind no longer has to do anything, so it begins to rest. And as the mind rests, the body follows even deeper, muscles soften more completely, sensation becomes lighter, awareness becomes less defined, and you begin to feel something very familiar, the edge of sleep, that soft border where thinking fades and dreaming begins to approach, and you don't need to step over it. You don't need to understand it. You only need to allow yourself to drift closer. So let yourself drift, not as a decision, but as a natural movement, like floating downward through warm, calm water, deeper and deeper, until even the sense of you trying to sleep begins to dissolve, and in its place there is only sleep happening, not as something separate from you, but as something you are merging with, and that merging feels very natural, very safe, very peaceful, because sleep is not an interruption of awareness, it is a transformation of it, a soft shift from thinking into being, from awareness into rest, from effort into surrender. So allow that transformation. Let it unfold without resistance. Let your body become heavier in the most comforting way. Let your mind become softer, quieter, more distant. Let your awareness fade into background calm. And you may notice now, there is very little separation between you and rest. It is not something you are approaching anymore. It is something you are inside of already. And that realization brings a deeper letting go, because there is nothing left to chase, nothing left to reach, nothing left to hold, only this quiet merging, this soft dissolving, this gentle disappearance of effort. And as you continue to rest here, you may feel your thoughts becoming almost dreamlike, not structured, not logical, just fragments, soft impressions, fading images, and you are no longer trying to hold them together, because you are moving beyond thinking, into resting, into sleeping, into simply being held by something larger than thought, something calm, something steady, something deeply restorative. And your body recognizes this state very well. It knows it, it trusts it, it returns to it every night. And now it is happening again, so you do not need to stay aware of it. You only need to let it happen. And as you do, you may feel yourself drifting further inward, like sinking into a soft, infinite calm, where everything slows, everything softens, everything quiets, until even awareness itself begins to fade, and there is no longer you trying to sleep. There is only sleep, deep, restorative, complete, and in that sleep, your body heals, your mind resets, your system restores balance, without effort, without instruction, without interruption. It simply happens, naturally, perfectly. And you are safe in it, completely safe. So now, let yourself fully merge with that sleep. Let the last edges of awareness dissolve. Let the final thoughts fade into softness. Let the body take over completely and drift fully, completely into deep restorative sleep, where healing continues quietly on its own and nothing else is needed anymore. There is a feeling that arrives when everything finally stops being managed inside you, when there is nothing left to fix, nothing left to figure out, nothing left to hold together. And in that moment, something unexpected appears. Not emptiness, not fear, but safety, deep, steady, quiet safety. And you may already be drifting into that now, because the effort you were holding earlier is no longer needed. The thinking is no longer leading, the control is no longer active, and what remains is something far simpler. You, resting, being held so gently now. Allow yourself to notice. You are not falling. You are not losing control. You are being supported completely by something soft, something steady, something that does not require your attention at all. It is the support of rest itself, the support of sleep, the support of letting go, and in that support, you do not need to stay alert anymore. You do not need to scan your thoughts. You do not need to check your body. You do not need to maintain awareness, because everything is already taken care of. So imagine now that you are lying in the safest space possible, a space where nothing can disturb you, a space where nothing is expected from you, a space where you are not required to respond to anything at all. And in that space, you are simply held, like being gently supported by something unseen but deeply comforting. And as you feel that support, something inside your body responds immediately. It softens, not because you are telling it to, but because it finally feels safe enough to stop guarding itself. So let that softness spread through your shoulders, through your chest, through your stomach, through your entire body. No effort, just allowing. And as your body softens, your mind begins to follow, not with thoughts, but with quiet. The kind of quiet where thinking no longer feels necessary, where even awareness becomes gentle and distant. And in that distance, there is peace, not emotional excitement, not mental clarity, but a deep, steady calm, the kind that does not come and go, the kind that simply is, and you are resting inside it now. So there is nothing you need to reach for, nothing you need to hold on to, nothing you need to understand. Only this feeling of being held completely. And if any thought appears now, let it be like something far away, something soft, something that does not require your attention. It can come and it can pass without touching you, because you are no longer in that space of effort. You are in the space of rest, and rest does not engage. Rest does not chase. Rest does not analyze. Rest simply allows everything to settle on its own. And that is exactly what is happening now. Everything is settling. Thoughts are settling. Breath is settling. Body is settling. Awareness is settling. And you are not doing any of it. It is happening for you. So allow it. And in this allowing, you may notice something very gentle, a sense of being cared for, not by something external, but by the very nature of this moment, as if everything around you is quietly agreeing. You do not need to carry anything anymore. And that realization brings deeper release, because when you feel truly held, you stop needing to hold yourself. So let go even more now, of tension, of expectation, of the need to stay aware, of the need to stay in control. And as each layer drops away, you become lighter, not awake, not asleep in a forced way, but gently drifting into that space where rest becomes complete, where awareness is no longer structured, where everything feels soft and distant. And in that softness, there is no separation between you and calm anymore. You are not entering calm. You are being held by calm. You are becoming calm. And that is why there is nothing to do now. No direction, no task, no effort. Only surrender into this holding, this safe space, this quiet support. And as you continue to rest here, You may begin to feel yourself fading even further into stillness, where even awareness dissolves into deep sleep, carrying you gently into complete rest and quiet healing, without end. There is nothing left for you to do now, not because something is missing, but because everything is already complete in this moment of surrender. And this is the quietest point of the journey, the point where even trying to relax becomes unnecessary, because you are already there. So just for a moment, notice something very subtle. The way your awareness feels different now compared to when you began. Earlier there was effort. Earlier there was thinking. Earlier there was holding on. But now there is only drifting, soft, slow, unforced. And you do not need to guide this drifting. You do not need to understand it. You do not need to continue it. It continues on its own. Because this is what sleep is. This is what healing is. This is what letting go truly means. Not doing more, but doing less, until even doing less disappears. So right now, let yourself arrive fully into that disappearance. Let go of the last remaining effort to stay aware. Let go of the final grip on thoughts. Let go of the need to observe anything, and just soften. Like a final exhale that releases everything at once, not forcefully, but completely. And in that release, something very natural happens. Your awareness begins to dissolve into rest, not suddenly, not sharply, but like mist fading into night, quiet, gentle, unnoticeable at first, and then deeper and deeper, until there is no longer a sense of direction, only sensation of falling inward, not into darkness, but into peace, a deep, infinite peace that does not require explanation. And you are safe here, completely safe. There is nothing in this space that asks anything from you. Nothing that demands attention, nothing that needs response, only rest, only stillness, only sleep. So allow your mind now to stop organizing experience. Allow your thoughts to become loose, fragmented, distant, like soft echoes dissolving into silence. You do not need to follow them. You do not need to stop them. They simply fade on their own when they are no longer fed. And you are no longer feeding them, because your attention is no longer on thinking. It is on letting go. And even that begins to fade now, so gently. Allow your body to take over completely. You are no longer holding yourself. You are no longer guiding yourself. You are being guided by something deeper than thought, something natural, something effortless, something ancient in your biology, the rhythm of sleep. So feel yourself drifting now, not forward, not backward, but inward, like sinking into a soft, endless comfort, where time no longer feels structured, where awareness no longer feels sharp, where everything becomes slow and softer and quieter. And in this quiet, there is no separation between you and rest. You are not entering sleep anymore. You are merging with it, becoming it. So let that merging continue. Let every remaining trace of effort dissolve. Let every last thread of thinking unwind. Let every sense of trying disappear completely, and what remains is pure rest, deep rest, healing rest, the kind of rest your body has been waiting for, the kind of rest your mind naturally returns to, the kind of rest that restores you without needing anything from you. So now, you are no longer listening in the same way. You are no longer processing words. You are no longer holding awareness tightly. You are simply drifting softly, slowly, naturally into sleep. And as you drift, your body begins its quiet work, repairing, restoring, balancing, healing without instruction, without effort, without interruption. Your mind begins to settle into deeper quiet. Thoughts dissolve completely or become dreams, and awareness itself begins to fade into softness. And there is nothing you need to hold on to anymore, because everything is already letting go for you. So rest now, fully, completely, without resistance, without direction, without effort, just drifting, just fading, just sleeping. And as you fully let go, you slip gently into deep restorative sleep, where everything is calm, everything is safe, and everything is finally at rest.